But I'm excited for this one because I got a lot of stuff to ask you because he does Darkness Radio now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And we actually had Dave Schrader on.
Yep.
A couple months ago.
So
I want to talk paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
We can talk all.
I'm all about paranormal.
We're getting all that shit.
Grab that. Grab the what looks like a light.
Yes.
The other thing too, we had Katie Stafford. He was on, and he gave us one of these.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I've only used it once yet, but we were supposed to use it in Georgia, but the opportunity fell through. So very excited.
Yeah, it's a flashlight.
You can get spirit boxes on your phone too. You know that, right?
Oh yeah.
My buddy's got a digital one.
Nice. Is it good? Is it like better than like the old school shit or no?
No, the old school is always better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better for recording. You know what I mean? Because you can just directly record with that. Where like with a spirit box, you have to have another recorder recording the spirit box. You know, but I like the old school stuff. I'm all old school when it comes to the paranormal stuff. If it ain't broke, why fix it? You know?
Yeah, I also thought there was something about the fact that like the newer stuff is so clean audio-wise that it's easier to miss things.
Yeah,
it is.
You're not going to pick things up the same way because it filters out so much of the frequency, and some of those frequencies need to be used. You know?
Well, you also get, because houses creak and stuff like that, or like there's stuff like that, everything's so clear, you literally pick up everything going on. So what you think is an EVP is actually just the pipes or the air conditioning kicking on or something, you know what I mean? And it's just, you're not used to that sound because it's so clear.
That could be good though, because those same sounds could be muffled in the old ones, and you could think that they're EVPs.
You usually don't pick them up in the old ones,
right?
You know, because there's so much going on. But now everything's so clear.
Yeah.
You know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's why I like the old stuff.
I like that.
Nice. Cool.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Timeout time.
How those balls looking?
You know what season it is, right?
I do indeed. It is time.
It is time for smooth sack summer. And how do I keep everything smooth, everything tidy, everything the way it should be?
Well, I don't know how you do, but I'll tell you how I do. Manscaped, buddy. You know it. You've been listening. You've been seeing the show. We've been talking about it. You know how much we love the crop mops. You know how much we love the lawnmower, but they have the Performance Package 4.0 now.
Where they did a little upgrade to the Weed Whacker. Weed Whacker is, of course, the nose and ear hair trimmer. It is now the 2.0, as opposed to the 1.0. Now,
That's one better.
I used the 1.0. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then they sent the 2.0, and I said, how could it be better? It is. It just is. I don't know how they do it, but Manscaped keeps upping their game. And
I've been digging the lawnmower for a long time. Right. I like the skin safe technology. I still use the guard. But I have not once nicked a thread on the beanbag.
Yes.
Not once.
Yep.
Now you don't want to lose any beans.
No.
Everyone.
No, you don't.
You don't want to lose beans, and with other methods, oh man, you could lose a bean.
Yeah.
But not with Manscaped.
Exactly. And also, they are getting into the beard game. They've got their brand new beard trimmer, which is fantastic. So go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code BACONPOD, and that will give you 20% off and free shipping.
That's right. So don't forget to work on those testicles, your chesticles, and your cheeks. Keep them clean and ask yourself, what's your bacon? Smooth Sack Summer.
Can you ice me?
I can.
While he ices me, I'm going to welcome everybody. Welcome, everybody.
I wish I had a Smirnoff Ice right now.
Oh, man. It's a little balmy in here.
I miss those. I miss doing that to people.
A little lemon.
Did I ever do that to you?
No.
I didn't?
No. It's always
surprising.
the first.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
surprising.
we've known each other for a long time.
I used to do that to everybody.
Welcome, everybody, to Bacon is My Podcast. I am Mike. Jimmy is with me, and we're here with our buddy, longtime buddy, Beer City Bruiser. Dude, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love being back. I put you guys over all the time.
Dude, you guys
are my daily rotation of podcasts.
Oh, dude,
appreciate
thank you
that.
so much, man.
You're in
Appreciate
the top 3 of what I love, and I always telling people about it.
That's
Thank you,
awesome.
man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean,
Hopefully we've turned you on to some cool bands because we've had a lot of really cool
definitely.
bands on
I've
here.
listened to a couple of bands you put on there, and music's just amazing. Like,
Hell yeah, man.
yeah.
We've gotten really lucky to have some really good bands.
We've lucked out because anytime we've ever asked you to do anything with us, you immediately go, "Yep." What do I gotta do?
You're the cool guys, like, you don't take advantage of your guests. You know what I mean? You're not using this for clout. Like, you actually are interested, and it's a good conversation, and you're fun to hang out with too. Like,
Thanks, man.
That's what it's all about, bro.
Yeah. I mean,
that is the move.
that's what we're hoping for. That is what we're hoping for.
That is all we want.
It's like I tell my wife, I tell my friends, it's just like drinking buddies, hanging out, and having a discussion.
Hell yeah! I can't wait till we get to do this in person. At some point, we will.
Yes.
We'll get somewhere.
Well, so
We'll have some drinks. We'll get naked and challenge a town to a fight.
Absolutely. Well,
It's like the weirdest Footloose ever.
See, what is
supposed to make an interpretive dance in there?
Right.
what is cool about it is because between it's been about 2 years since we had you on full episode proper.
Right.
We've had you on for the 1 year anniversary and for the BIMPYs and stuff like that, but so much has happened. One, you moved from Wisconsin to North Carolina.
Yep.
And it turns out to be like 20-30 minutes away from where my parents live.
Yep.
So we could probably make an in-person thing happen at some point.
Yeah, we have to make an in-person thing happen.
ROH closed and then opened back up.
Reopened, yeah.
You just recently, 3 weeks ago, had hip surgery.
Yep, hip replacement.
You are now the $6 million man.
I am.
And just yesterday, as we're recording this, he turned 25.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I wish I was 25.
Happy 25th birthday, my friend.
He's been in the business for 24 years.
He caught up to both of us.
Yeah.
We're all 25.
You know what? I'm happy to be 45. I earned these 45 years. Like, I am 45 and I earned it. Like, I tell everybody that.
Nice, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm not ashamed of my age. I earned every bit of it.
I had 4 25th birthdays. Like, with parties.
Right.
In a row.
You're 100?
I didn't have one every 10 years.
Also, yes, he is.
I'm 100.
He
I'm a
is.
vampire.
He ages quite well.
I'm a
I
vampire.
don't know why I multiplied that all together. Like, you don't multiply birthdays. But why not?
I like it. I like it.
No, I'll take it. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. But dude, so you just recently had hip surgery. How are you feeling? Are you getting around yet, or?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good actually. I'm right on pace. I'm walking all on my own. No cane, no walker, nothing like that. In fact, today I did for the very first time since surgery, I walked a mile.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't mess around anymore. Like the day of surgeries, they're like, get up, go, get your ass up and go do something. And you're like, oh, okay, all right.
I woke up from surgery and she goes, "Can you bend your leg?" And I bent my leg. She goes, "Okay, get up and walk down the hallway." I was like, "What?" Come on.
I don't wanna.
I'm still sedated, lady. I don't know.
They got me the walker. I walked down the hallway and I think I'd woken up and I was out of the hospital within an hour.
Nice.
Oh wow, really?
What's the first thing that you noticed as far as like, I know a guy that had his hip replaced, and he said the first time he really noticed anything was when he got in and out of his car the first time. He was like, it was so amazingly different because it didn't hurt at all to get in and out of the car, and that was his wake up.
Mine was the pain. The pain was completely different. Like when I woke up, I was in pain, but it was a completely different pain. And every day since that surgery, I noticed something new of like, okay, because I'm activating muscles that I've had to have this hip surgery for the past 8 years.
Okay.
I found out about it literally right after I signed with Ring of Honor. The doctor goes, your hip's dead. You need hip surgery. And I was like, well, I just signed with a contract with a company. How long can I put it off? He goes, I'll give you 5 years. And that was 8 years ago. So like the last couple of years, I've been in really bad pain, and I had a really bad limp, and just moving hurt. And so when I woke up, my wife goes, how are you? And I go, I'm in pain, but I'm in like a different kind of pain. And then once I got home and stuff, that's when I noticed like getting in the car was easier, putting my shoes on was easier, getting into bed was easier. And like we celebrated little milestones, my wife and I. Like I was able to put my socks on for the first time, a week after surgery. And it was like putting on like a normal person. Then I was able to tie my shoes. And I haven't been able to do that in so long because I couldn't move that leg, Like the surgery was only supposed to be an hour-long surgery, and he was in there for an hour and 45 minutes because when he went in, they couldn't get my leg into the machine because there's like a stirrup you put your leg in so they can separate your hip and do all they could. He couldn't get my hip in there. And what happened is I had 2 bone spurs that were the size of his fist that were covering my femoral head, and he couldn't move it. And so when he got done, he had to take a chisel and chisel them out in order just to cut off what he had to cut off to put in the new replacement. So when he got out, he came up to my wife and he goes, how did he walk in here this morning? And she goes, why? And he explained it to her. And she goes, well, he wrestled a 40-minute match on Saturday and another 25-minute match on Sunday. And the doctor goes, how? He couldn't move his leg. Like, how? And she goes, he just does it.
I tell you what, man, wrestlers,
it's different.
Pro wrestlers are like, they play superheroes, but they are superheroes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, do you think that like the decision to become a professional wrestler, it's just that like, hey, you're going to have to deal with a bunch of pain pretty much constantly?
Oh, I tell the students all the time that when they get in the business, that day one, I go, all right, you're going to get hurt and you're going to hurt somebody. That's just wrestling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts. Wrestling is painful. Like, it's not choreographed, but it's all, we know the finish. We know what's going on in the finish. But it's still a real ring, and that ring is nothing but carpet padding, wood, and steel. The chairs you get hit with, those are real chairs. The tables, which they've switched to doors now, are like real doors.
Yeah, I've seen that. The hollow core doors and stuff.
Yeah. And like, I got hurt, like my stuff that I got hurt on, like when I tore my ACL, it was just kicking somebody. And the ring bounced back and my knee shifted, so I tore my ACL.
Okay.
When I tore my tricep, it was just simple. I was taking a DDT and I put my hand down to protect my head, and my elbow got dislocated.
Oh, shit.
And so I rolled in the corner, and I thought it was like a finger. I didn't know you had to go to the hospital for dislocated elbow, so I popped it back in, and it tore my tricep.
Ooh.
And then my hip was just, I used to do the cactus elbow off the apron all the time. So just constantly landing on my hip, and then the frog splash and all that I used to do. And it was just constantly abusing it. And then, I never got it checked out. And then it was like, well, I got to keep working. I got to keep wrestling. That's how I make my money. And you fight through the pain. But I tell kids all the time when they first start, like, ibuprofen, Tylenol, that's all going to be your friend. You're going to drink, but you got to control it. Do what you got to do.
Try to avoid the oxys.
Right.
Yeah, like you can go down a bad road. I'm not going to judge anybody. I went down a bad road. I got, and I got out of it. THC is a huge thing right now in the wrestling business because it helps. You know, but like you find a good masseuse, find a good chiropractor, and have an understanding doctor. I'm lucky where my doctor's a sports doctor, so he gets it. Like when I said, hey, is this the end of my career? He said, if you were a normal person, I'd say, yeah. He goes, if you're a football player, hockey player, soccer player, yeah, it'd be the end. But you're a wrestler, and you guys are different breeds, so I don't know. He's like, I won't know. After 3 months, I'll let you get back in the ring, and then you can tell me. And I was like, okay.
If you had a Lloyd's of London,
then I wouldn't be wrestling. I'd be taking that Lloyd's of London payout.
No, I think that wrestlers, and wrestling in general is just like completely different when it comes to all of that. Like,
it's a different breed of person, honestly.
Right.
Like,
and when it comes to the pain and stuff, I feel like, it's what you love. So I almost feel like professionals, once you hit a professional level, right? You're a professional wrestler versus a professional football player. When you hit that pinnacle of your career and a doctor says, you can't do this anymore.
right.
I feel like the love is different because it's, you don't, like, all football players don't hurt all the time.
Right.
It's not designed, you're not, like, designed to
Well,
get
they're not,
hurt.
they're not playing a game every night
Right.
Right.
or 5
They
nights a week.
they get a week off, and then they get a season
Right.
off, which is
And
a
then
few
season
months.
off.
Whereas you got a surgery on a Tuesday, but you're working a 40-minute match on Saturday and then another 20 minutes on Sunday,
Yeah.
Right.
because you don't just do it because you have to, but you do it because you love it, and you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I have a platform, I can do this. This is fucking cool.
Right.
What am I gonna not do it because I hurt a little bit? Like, I feel like it's very different when it comes to like mainstream professional sports like basketball, hockey, football, baseball, and professional wrestling.
Do you think the
I laugh
addiction
when I
to
see
doing
like
it-
professional athletes get something like I've seen a wrestler work through. Like I had in the pandemic shows, PCO landed on my right shoulder real bad, and it ended up tearing my rotator cuff, shutting my labrum, and my bicep got torn. And I went to the trainer that night, and she's like, "Well, you're done." I'm like, "No, I have TV tomorrow, and we have 3 matches that we have to wrestle for TV. Like we're taping TV." She's like, "You can't do that." And I said, "No, I have to. Like they have it scheduled, and there's already 10 guys that were hurt last night, worse than me. I'm gonna get out there. Like do whatever you can to get me out there." And then the booker came up to me, delirious, and he's like, I heard you're hurt." And I says, "Yeah." I said, "But I can get out there." He says, "You promise me you're not going to do stuff that's going to hurt more?" I said, "I promise you that, but let me get out there, let me compete." And I was. You can watch the match, like I'm in. You can tell my right arm doesn't work because I'm only using my left side, but I got through the whole match. I got through all 3 matches without any more damage. And then literally when I landed at home, my wife picked me up and took me straight to the ER. Because that was the agreement I had with Ring of Honor, is that they'd let me work the TV matches as long as when my plane landed at home, I go straight to the ER and get diagnosed. And the doctors there in the ER couldn't believe that I'd wrestled 3 more matches after it.
Yeah.
And so like that's just to put on the looks. Like I need both shoulders done, both knees done, but the hip was the most important. So
Right. Yeah, I just think it's a different breed. Like, do you think that there's a different mindset for people that fall in love with professional wrestling versus people that their dream is to be a football player or their dream is to be a basketball player? Like, what do you think it is that is that difference that's like, yeah, well, that thing that would end your career that's year 2 for me of a 30-year career. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's because as wrestlers, we're also artists.
right.
And you guys know us being artists, like the show must go on. No matter what, the show must go on. And you want to be a part of that show any way you can. And I think when you fall in love with professional wrestling, you fall in love with, first of all, it's Stone Cold said in an interview that it's the pop that you hear is like heroin. You don't get your fix. You're standing behind the curtain and your music plays and the crowd does what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And that's 100% true. You get addicted to that, but it's also the artwork, and you're going to do whatever you can for your artwork. And the wrestling ring's our canvas, and we can do what we want. It's such a good feeling when you get in the ring and you're like, this is what I want to do, and I hope they cheer for it. And then they do. And then, okay, I want to do this, and I really hope that lady gets pissed off at me and throws her soda. And then they do it, and that's
right.
like, it's a good feeling, And in wrestling too, if you're hurt, we can work around that. We're like, I don't think football players or baseball players, they can't work around their injuries.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think also as a tag too, if you're working in a tag,
yeah,
you could work even more around it a little bit.
Well,
like my last match before surgery, the booker goes, "Are you coming back?" And I said, "I don't know." So what the doctor said, he said, "Well, let's put you out on a note where if you're done, he's done. but if not, it's you can come back and get your revenge. So what we did is Brian and I were going for our finish, and I was starting to climb up the top rope, and the guy came in and he hit me in the hip with a chair, and then I fell and landed on the ring on that hip, and then rolled, and then acted like I couldn't walk.
Right.
And the guy's like, "Where do you want me to hit me?" I said, "Hit me in my right hip." He's like, "That's the bad one." I go, "Yeah, it won't be hard for me to tell that I'm in pain. Hit me in that hip, and I want you to hit me as hard as you can." He goes, "What?" I go, "I'm having surgery on Thursday. Hit me as hard as you can. Like, it doesn't matter." This. Yeah, like I'm good.
It's like, hey, okay, here's a nice house, okay?
Yeah.
And there's one broken window.
Right.
And you go, you know what? You could throw a ball through one of those windows. Which one? The one that's fucking broken already. It's going to be replaced.
Yeah,
we're already planning on fixing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when he did it, like just the like fans coming up to him and fans emailing me and messaging me and stuff, like everybody bought it. I'm like, I've been talking about having hip surgery since like I moved. Like everyone knows I'm having hip surgery. I announced the date I was having hip surgery, but that's just how wrestling is. Like we were so good at our art that when me and the booker came up with this idea, his name's Brian Hawks. He's an amazing booker for a company called AML Wrestling, that I had WWE guys that I'm friends with messaging me, and guys that I've been in Ring of Honor with that have seen my limp, that have seen me and heard that I was having surgery, and they texted, "Hey, heard you got hurt last night. Are you okay?" It's like, no, yeah, I'm just going for surgery, man. Like, and they're like,
I still hurt. I've been hurting this whole time, but
I work the workers, man.
And that's like awesome. I sent all the messages to Brian, and Brian's like, "Man, we got something going." I go, "That's what's great about this, man." You know, like
I think that's what people miss. Honestly, I think that's like I think it's easy for people. You know, pro wrestling doesn't get the respect that it should get, regardless. But it gets more now than it used to. And I think it's easy for people to respect the athleticism. I think it's easy for people to respect the pageantry and the things, and even working through injuries and stuff like that. I think that people miss the artistry of it. I think that's one of the things that, like, an outsider, and speaking as an outsider who's never taken a bump, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to try and talk like I'm like for outsiders. You know, I'm not trying to, but I think that people that look at it from outside that lens, like, the thing that they miss is they miss that the person or the people or the team in the ring is trying to create something, and they're trying to create a story, and they're trying to create a narrative that's you're going to buy into, and they're trying to put forth a something that's going to get an emotion from you, and the lengths that they'll go to make sure that not only does the story tonight work, but that it also feeds into the story tomorrow. I think that gets
the problem
missed a
with
lot.
Today is so many guys don't worry about the emotion. They worry about the gifts and the clicks and the retweets and all that. Where my generation, and it's my generation's job to teach this new generation, you can do all the cool fancy moves, but you have to have a reason, like you said, to have the fans care about you. Either they got to like you or hate you, and you got to do something. It's all emotions. And I always tell kids, you can do the coolest moonsault in the world, but I'll get a better reaction with one punch, because I know how to get the crowd emotionally involved in me, where they want to see me throw a punch. Where you are doing cool, like I can do all that cool shit too. I was trained the same way, but I was also trained by a territory guy where you have to get that emotion. And I think that's why there's so many guys my age and my generation that are still wrestling today. Yeah, because we can get the emotional, and our bodies are beat up, but like think of these kids today that are doing all these flips and car crashes,
suicidas.
They're not gonna last. And they're doing it every night. Like, you don't have to do that in front of
6 times in a match.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you know? And you don't have to do that in front of 20 people. Save that for the big show. Save that for the pay-per-views and the TV. But make sure there's an emotion behind it, so that when you do it, you get a reaction. You get more than a holy shit reaction, because that's like you go to a stunt show, you see a guy jump over 12 buses, that's a holy shit reaction. But do I care about the guy if he crashes? No.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a difference between watching I think that pro wrestling, sometimes people watch it the way that they watch Jackass or gymnastics.
Exactly.
And it's not either of those things.
Exactly.
It incorporates elements of both of those things.
Yep.
Right? But it, at its best, when it's doing its best work, it makes you ultimately care so much about the person doing whatever that they're doing that it doesn't matter if it's a tope suicida or if it's a punch to the face.
Yep. I always bring up the analogy that if you picture the Avengers movies, everybody cried when Spider-Man got blipped out.
Yeah.
Like, that was a moment. But and yes, Spider-Man does cool stuff. He, the flipping and the webs and all that. But we didn't cry because of that. We cried because we knew his backstory, because we watched him from the first movie lose Uncle Ben and then protect Aunt May. Now he's got to learn all these powers. So we went along the ride with him.
Right.
He would do cool stuff, but then something would happen in between. So we started caring about him, so that when he got blipped out, which no one knew was going to happen, it hit something. And I go, that's what wrestling can be. You got to get them to care. You can do your cool moves, but make sure there's stuff in between those cool moves where the fans are invested as you as a character. And they want you. So if you crash and burn, it's a big thing. If you hit the move, it's a big thing. And then when you win or lose, it means something. And they want to come back the next show because they want to either see you get revenge or see what you do next.
Right.
All right. Time out. We've got all these awesome sponsors here.
Right.
Where can they find all the information out for that?
Oh, if only there was a place. If there was only
a portal.
A hub.
A central hub to do so.
A central location.
Wait, I think there is.
Do we have the technology?
Yes. Baconismypodcast.com is where you can find the best deals on all of our awesome sponsors, including Drink Wild Bills, Pod Decks, Manscaped, all of them. Go over there, find their promo codes. You always get the best deals. But what else can you get over there?
Well, not only can you get the best deals, and we'll always keep those up to date, you can also help out the show by grabbing some t-shirts, some swag. Jump over to the Bacon Is My Fashion section. Yeah, there's a whole section. It's just there for you. It's there for you. You can check it out. We have nice t-shirts. They don't chafe. They're nice to the nips. I like that.
Jimmy's all about his nice to the nips.
I'm like the
shirts.
Drax of this show.
Exactly.
I got sensitive nipples, man. I got sensitive nipples. If you have sensitive nipples, check that out. And you know what? How about your ear holes? You want to take care of those ear holes? Because you can find links to all of our episodes. How about your eyeballs? You want those eyeballs? You can find links to our YouTube, Strangerhood TV. You can check out everything right from baconismypodcast.com. It's easy. It's super simple. It's right there. What's your bacon?
I will say that when you go to this site, that will be your new bacon.
That will be your new bacon. Check it out.
All this conversation really brings me to my next thing that I did want to ask you about and talk about. So since moving to the Carolinas, you are working at a wrestling school, and you talk about how you want to pay it forward, and you've spoken about some of the production stuff that you've done in the ROH end before it closed down and all that stuff, and you've done a few shows. So what for people who are listening, what does the producer do at a wrestling show? Because a lot of times people are like, okay, well, the producer of a movie does XYZ, or the producer of a record does XYZ. So in the world of wrestling, what is a producer?
So what I do is you find out what matches they give to you, and you find out who's in it, and then you find out the finish, and you're like, okay, how do we get these fans in the times and stuff? And you get with the talent, you're like, how do we get the fans to go on this roller coaster ride to get them where we need to be? So it's usually the younger guys I'm working with. So they'll come up to me and, hey, we're thinking of doing this. And I'll be like, well, that's cool. Maybe take this and put this here and put this here. And then once they have everything down, it's okay. Now we got to think about camera stuff. Like, are you doing a big dive to the outside? Yeah. Okay. Where do you need me to have the camera? Like, where are you jumping? So that I can have a camera come and catch it. Because the worst thing you can do is do a big move and the camera doesn't see it. Because the live crowd sees it, but the people at home don't see it.
You've wasted
So
it.
I will, once I get all the camera stuff, I will sit next to the director, and while the match is going on, I'll be like, hey, this is going to happen. Get your camera guy here. You know, this is going to happen. Have your camera guy go here. And I'll be able to get it so they get the best shot of the talent doing what they got to do. And then when everything's all over and they come back through, I can break down what worked and what didn't work. So the best way to put it is I'm using my brain now in wrestling instead of my body. Because, like, yeah, my body's broken, but my brain's still fresh. And I can still look at, you know, like, it's a lot to do. I have to know all the characters, like what characters are on the show, because this character might not do the same thing this character would do. Why are they planning the same thing? You know what I mean? I'll go, well, your character doesn't do that. Well, I just do this really cool spot, man. Yeah, but your character doesn't do it. So why would you do it? Plus, they're doing it later. And I make sure that none of the moves that some guys are doing are used later on. Because like you said, you'll see 6 flips in one show.
Right.
By the 3rd flip, you don't care. You know what I mean?
Right. I've seen it.
Well, yeah. That's kind of what bothers me about wrestling a little bit too. And you know, I'm not saying that these people are bad wrestlers or they're whatever.
It's not that they're bad. It's just,
but it's like
you've seen it.
It's like
if
I
you're
don't
not paying
like
attention to the whole thing.
Canadian destroyer off of a
Yes.
ladder through 3 tables, but the match still goes for another 25-30 minutes.
Exactly.
But
Right.
why?
I've yelled at
Fucking
kids that
why?
have come through. I go,
I'd be
thanks to
dead.
you. I tell kids, thanks to you, now the main event has to have a shotgun in their match. What do you mean? Well, he's got to shoot him in the face with a shotgun in order to win because you just did all that crap.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not
You
believable
kicked
now.
out of that
Yeah.
at 1.
Yeah. And this guy
Right.
here is taking a clothesline. Like,
So right. So
Yeah.
this person's Stan Hansen lariat isn't
Yeah.
going to finish the match now when
Yeah.
it should.
Right.
so I also have to, as a producer, you know, the undercard has to, like, a common rule in wrestling is, you know, you asked about one of the unwritten rules. The first match doesn't go outside the ring because save that for later on. Your first match is usually straight through, just get it over, get the crowd. The first match job is get the crowd hyped up, get them involved in the match, let them know it's okay to cheer and boo. So, like, I can break it down with these kids that are in the first match. Like, this is your job. And then the main event, you know, I got to make sure whatever they have planned or whatever the booker wants for them for storyline purposes, nobody else on the card is doing that. So, because usually the main event, you're on so late, the crowd's tired, they've been there for a while. So now it's, you know, if I can get it to where the crowd may be tired, but this main event, when they first start off, they see something they haven't seen yet. Now they're hooked back into it. That gives them their second wind. So I have to look at the card as like a whole, where, like, as a wrestler, you just look at your match. Like, okay, this is my match. The producer, you got to look at the whole thing. And there's usually, like, if you get to the main companies, WWE, A&E, or AEW, ROH, all that, there's usually like 7 or 8 producers for the whole card. What I'm doing for AML, it's just me. So I'm getting, like, I get to do the whole card, and I know the flow, and I work real closely with Brian. And I did there's a ladies' night out. They usually film 30 matches in 3 shows.
Wow.
And they'll be the same day, but they'll be like a couple hours apart. And it's Tully runs a great promotion and all that. But now I have to go, okay, here's the first show. Let's break that down. Here's the second show. How do we make it different from the first show, but still highlight what we need to highlight? And now here's the third show. And it's women's wrestling.
Right.
So it's like, I have to also show that these girls, yeah, they're sexy, but they're also athletic too. You know what I mean? They're not just there for spank bank material. They're there because they're talented women.
Right. They're
you
bad.
know?
They can kill you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also was producing, like, promos and stuff like that. Like, what would, you know, I have to help them what they're going to say, and, like, the camera shots on that, and, like, the backstage vignettes and stuff like that. Like, I can help out with that. And I love it. It's creative. I'm a creative person, and it's, I live vicariously then through these guys. And it also helps too, because with my students, me training, I can bring the producer standpoint to them too. So we work on TV stuff at training. So now when these kids get tryouts, the people in charge notice, hey, have you worked TV before? No, we were trained that way.
Right. They understand, you know,
Yeah.
hard cams over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that puts them a level up than everybody else that they're trying out with, and hopefully gets them a job.
That's awesome.
Is there anything that you've kind of discovered through producing that you were like, damn, if I knew this before, I would have done this match differently, or this thing differently, or this thing differently?
camera placement. I when I first started with Ring of Honor, I had no TV experience. Silas would kind of walk me through it. And so it was because of guys like Bully Ray and BJ Whitmer, Christopher Daniels. They were the producers, Jay Lethal. They were producers of my matches. So when I'd come through, it had nothing to do with the match. It was, hey, we missed your frog splash because you did it out of the wrong corner. Or, hey, when you do your haha beer spot, you're turning your back to the hard cam. So that's how I learned to work TV. And nowadays, like I tell the students, everything is filmed nowadays because everybody streams.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? GCW, which is the biggest independent, they still stream. So like anybody can watch their shows. So I tell these kids, every show you do, you have to work like it's TV because there's somebody filming you. And that's going to make you stand out. When the big dogs come, they look at, they're looking, somebody says to look something up and they go look it up and they can tell you know how to work TV compared to somebody else.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
is.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, because like I said, everything's on streaming services.
Yeah, it's a different world for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that's a positive or a negative for things? Do you think like it exposes new people that are learning at a too early part of their career, or do you think it like adds a benefit to a way to sell yourself?
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think kids that weren't brought in properly, their egos get really big because they might hit really cool moves.
Right. They get
So,
a viral,
Twitter.
they get a
viral
viral
video
or
and that's
something.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Somebody's actually able to get it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I always tell those kids, like, okay, your viral moment, what did that buy you?
Right.
I can tell you this, me doing the job on TV for a year put my daughter through college.
Right.
I had a couple viral moments, but like I still had a paycheck every single week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is your viral? Is it selling you more shirts? Is it selling you more pictures? Is it bringing people to your personal website so that you can sell your stuff? Like, what does that viral moment do? And that's what these kids got to remember is that this is a business.
Yeah.
You don't. Joker said it the best. If you're good at something, why do it for free?
Why do it for free?
There you go.
Yep.
And cool, you're getting all these clicks, you're streaming and all that. That's great. But if you don't know how to work the camera, you're not making new fans.
Right.
You're not drawing in. And I tell people too, every time you wrestle, there's at least one person that's never seen a wrestling match before, and you might be the first match, that they see. Think about your first time watching wrestling and what made you a fan. You're now that person to this kid. So, like I said, it's a double-edged sword.
That's such a similarity to music and what
Yeah.
we do, because it's like, you could stumble on a viral video, but if that viral video doesn't translate to, hey, how many people went on your site and listened to your song?
Exactly.
None? Okay, well then what's your video doing? It's making people click on it, but what else?
Yeah,
So
like
therefore
good for you. You got retweeted 100 times.
Right,
But
so if it
what did
doesn't
you
mean
do?
anything, what else are you doing?
Yep.
Did you get a video and then you're like, yeah, man, I'm good? Or did you get a video and go like, cool, I'm not even going to think about that?
Or use it to your advantage.
Right.
Hey, if you like that, go here. That's the other thing too, is I see these kids that are going viral and they're not at all sharing it, saying, you like that, go to whatever website to find out
check me
more.
out here. Find me here.
Come and the
Come
thing
to
too, like
this event that I'm
exactly.
working.
I always tell these kids,
Here's a screenshot of this viral video that I now put on a T-shirt, and you can get it at ProWrestlingTees.com.
Exactly, yep.
And then turn it into $1.
You can come this Saturday to this wrestling show that I'm wrestling at to buy that show. So guess what? Not only did you make money, you made the promoter made money.
Right.
And make sure you tell the promoter you're there to see me. They tell the promoter that, guess what? You just got another booking.
It's all about parlaying it into the next thing. I think there is too much, like you said, with music and with the viral gifs and stuff like that. Too much emphasis on the social media platforms, where it is super important still as a promotional aspect. But
use it as a promotional aspect.
It can't be the only thing.
Well, in music, there's a lot of patting yourself on the back and hug chasing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you find that also in wrestling?
Yeah. A lot of kids, when they come back, if I have a kid ask me to watch their match, I go, all right, well, before you ask me to watch your match, know that when you come through the curtain, I'm going to tell you everything you did wrong.
Yeah.
because I'm not here to pat you on the back and tell you how good you are. Because if I tell you everything good you did, what are you going to learn? But if I tell you everything wrong you did, and you can fix one of those things, you're a better wrestler the next time you go out. I don't just shit on them all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'll be, because that's how it is in music. You don't shit on it, but you will say, hey,
I like this. This was great. This could have used work.
Exactly. So I'm honest with kids. And I've in the past gotten heat for it because, Bruce is an asshole, Bruce is an asshole. No, I'm just not telling you, I'm not stroking you off and patting your ego. I'm telling you what you need to work on.
If people are calling, go ahead.
Yeah.
I've seen people 5 years later and they're in the same exact spot they were 5 years ago. Like, why are you doing this? You're not moving anywhere.
That's the problem. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shouldn't you at least, same guy works in the same state every single weekend. Well, don't you want to move to a different state? Oh, well, I wrestle in Illinois and this and that. Like, dude, I wrestled all over the world. Like, I have a referee that I trained, and I told him this advice. I said, every year you should get better. He just got back from the second tour of Japan.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, so he will be signed within the next year because he took that to heart. He's like, oh, you're right. I should be growing. And it's like it is in music. Like, you do a club venue with 200 people. Next time you want 300.
Right.
And then pretty soon you want 400. And then you want to get out of the club. You want to go someplace else. Same with, like, comedy,
Yeah.
The comedians do, first they start open mic and then they go to the clubs and then they eventually arenas. That should be the goal. I mean, otherwise, why are you beating yourself up?
Right, yeah. Any entertainment business where you rely on people coming to see you, if you're just relying on the same people to come to see you, you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. I do want to say this though. What I was going to say is, if you're learning from you, and you don't know who you are, and you're going, boo hoo, he's being such an asshole. You learn from Harley Race, who probably was a little bit good at tough love, let's just say.
I always tell my students, hey, if you think I'm bad at yelling at you, come back from a match and have an angry Harley Race come up to you. And yeah, he was 60-some years old, but I was terrified.
Exactly.
But I learned my lesson, and I corrected what he told me to do, and I got signed. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and also, man, like if you've got someone that's coaching you, right, and this is just from my own personal experience, from like anybody, just musicians that I looked up to that I asked for advice, or coaches when I was in school, or my dad, or any of those things. If all they do is blow smoke up your ass the whole time, then when you finally get into a situation where you're in a real pass-fail and you fail, you're not prepped for it. You're not ready for it. You don't know what the hell to do. But but to the contrary of that, if you have someone that's hard on you, right, and they're telling you all the time, like, if you're coming back from every situation going like, I really kicked ass on that one, and someone's going, yeah, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
And you did okay. But here's all the things that you could improve. When you come back to that person and they go, that was fucking awesome.
Yep.
Right.
That changes your life.
Right.
Yeah. I had it too. I had one student who was on the fence with me. He still came to my training and stuff, and he still gave me his all. And I didn't know this till after, but he was real on the fence with the stuff I was saying. And he went and he did another seminar with a WWE scout. And the WWE scout literally said verbatim what I said in training. And he came back and goes, I will never doubt you again, because you know. And I told him, I said, you don't have to take everything I say as gospel. It's my opinion.
Right.
But my opinion's pretty good. Right. I'm not one to sit there and toot my own horn. You know what I mean? I'll let my work speak for itself. And now that my students are going out and they're doing all these shows, like, I got a really great message from this girl, Clara, who is an amazing performer, and she just got done doing extra work for WWE. And she goes, I find it amazing when I talk to these people, and she lists a bunch of people, and she's like, and they all, once I say I'm trained by you, they get a big smile on their face and tell me I'm doing the right thing. She goes, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out. And I told her, I'm not going to put myself over. I'll let my work speak for it, but you're going to find out that and that to me feels good, because that means all the hard work I've been putting in the last 23 years is paying off, and I'm making that reputation for myself.
Hell yeah,
as a good guy. And you know what I mean? Because that's what I've always tried to pride myself on. And the biggest compliment I got was Dr. Tom, who trained The Rock. He trained John Cena. He trained you name it, he trained them. So
if
I
you don't know Tom Pritchard, go fucking look it up and be
but I
amazed.
think he is literally the greatest wrestling trainer of all time. And he said that I am one of his favorite trainers, that he will send students my way because I'm training them the right way. And that is a big badge of honor to me, because he is the best trainer in the world, you know.
That's so cool.
Respect from your peers, man.
That is so cool.
Exactly.
That's key.
Hell yeah. Well, I do know that you've honed in another skill.
Yep.
And just after you were on Bacon Is My Podcast, ROH started doing like this drinks thing in the afternoons with you and Brian, and talking to people, and you guys had a pretty cool show going, huh?
Yeah, we did. It was Happy Hour, which are still on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the way that came about was before Ring of Honor went down for COVID. Brian and I were both beat up. I had my hip, Brian had some back issues, and so we pitched this idea, and we wanted to call it Happy Hour. And the way we'd film it was me and Brian would be sitting at the end of a bar, or one of us would be the bartender and one would be sitting at the end of the bar. And our guest would come in to order a beer. And then just like sitting at a bar, you've been to a dive bar, you sit at the end of the beer, you know, and you just tell stories.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to do. And Ring of Honor's like, we love it. It's perfect. They were having a set built for us, and then everything shut down.
Oh,
so then
there was
they're
a
like,
set built?
It was in the process. Yeah, we got to see pictures of it. It was so cool. And then we're like, oh shit, now what do we do? And then so Brian goes, well, there's this thing called Zoom. We could probably do it out of that. So we taught ourselves how to edit and do all the video stuff. And we filmed the first one with Session with Martina, and we sent it over to the office, and they go, every week we want this till the COVID's lifted. And me and Brian were like, wait, what? Like, huh?
Shit.
So then we had to figure out, like, how do we fill up all this? And we were literally like, okay, we just want to keep it to the ROH roster. But we went through the roster. So it's like, okay, who else can we get on here? You know, so then we got some of the New Japan guys. And it's like, all right, well, so eventually we got the president of ROH on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just flowing. And we got the call from the social media people, and they're like, you guys are number 2 right now on the YouTube behind the Briscoes, which is a huge honor, because the Briscoes are
incredible.
Yeah. And they gave us a bump, and they ended up signing us to an exclusive contract after all that. And it was during the pandemic. We were the only ones to sign an exclusive contract.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's so awesome.
So it was like awesome. We don't have to worry about it. And then, you know, then it got shut down.
Yeah. Well, but you've parlayed those skills on Darkness Radio.
Yeah.
Yep. So my buddy Tim does that. And he used to do it with a guy you guys know, Dave Schrader.
Yeah.
And Dave left, and Tim was like, man, I want to revamp the show. And he called me up, and I've known Tim for, 15, 16 years. He used to be a ring announcer for a wrestling company in Minnesota. And I wrestled for their company, and then we're both into the paranormal. And that's how we're both wrestling fans, and we're both paranormal fans, and he's a comic book fan, and he likes the same music I like. It's like, hey, why are we not friends?
Yeah.
So we just always talk.
Show.
God.
Sounds like the best show of all time.
So then he says, hey, I'm sorry about ROH. I saw what happened, but I have an opportunity for you. Would you like to be my co-host? And I said, yeah, sure. And that was a year and a half ago. And this is the longest, because I took the time off for my surgery. So it's been a month off. It's the longest I've been away from the show.
Yeah.
And I miss it, man. Like, we do on Tuesdays, we do True Crime Tuesdays. I'm on the Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminal segment, where we look up just funny shit and we talk about it. And then on Wednesdays is our major show, and that's when we cover the supernatural news. And we cover everything paranormal, from ghosts to UFOs to demons to cryptids to just weird stuff happening in the world. And it's just fun, man. And it's great. And our viewership's gone up since Dave's left, and Tim's in a good place, and just doing great, man.
That's so awesome.
That's awesome.
And it was funny because, like, when we spoke, like, somehow it came up that we were all into paranormal stuff.
Right.
What I was trying to set up, and it didn't happen because of the ROH thing, is what I wanted to try and do was the Seance of Honor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And that was my big idea.
Yeah, I remember
and I had Patty Negri. She was like,
yep.
I'm all into this. She's
right,
like, I'm
totally
so
forgot
into this
about
because
that.
you had said, oh yeah,
Yep.
when we go, we've got this little crew that we're all about and stuff like that. But I want to
Mandy Leone was setting up a YouTube channel where it was going to be, they would fly us in either a day early or a day after the shows, and we do investigations. We'd film it, and we were going to put it under the ROH banner on YouTube. But then everything happened with the shutdown and stuff. But I still talk to Mandy to this day. Mandy's been a guest on the Darkness Radio Show, and we're trying to set up like just different, just the personal like investigations because we're still into it, And she's like, "Well, I'll film it and I'll put it on my YouTube page." I'm like, "Whatever you want to do." Like, I just love it, It's fun.
We got some connections too. So if you want to do it, like if you want to do some up here and stuff like that, actually, Jen and I just booked one for upstate. We're going to be doing one with Dave Schrader and Shane Pittman.
Yep.
We're going to be going upstate in October, I think. I want to say. So that'll be my real first one.
Nice.
But yeah, we
thanks for the invite.
Hey man,
we have a show where we talk about it, but I'm bringing my wife.
I get that all the time.
Hey man, I shared a bed with you last time we went away.
That does not equal the same thing.
I'd rather share it with my wife.
That is not the same thing.
You want to go?
I'll
send you the picture.
Yes,
I'll want to go. Okay.
I'll get a different room.
Oh, dude, she's totally into it. She's
my wife's not into it, and my wife's a sensitive, and
my wife is sensitive too.
Yeah, and I'll trick her into going to haunted places with me. We'll walk into this like a haunted place, and she'll be like, I don't have a good feeling in that room. I'm like, oh, really? What's going on? I'm like, what are you feeling? She'll be like, well,
do you want to say it into my phone?
So are you sensitive or no?
No, I'm not, and that I get angry about it because I want to be so bad, but she doesn't want to be at all, and she is, and so like, I'll have my recorder with me, like, what room? And I'll go walk in there, I'll hit some, and I'll start talking. She's like, you son of a bitch, and I'm like, what? Like, how else am I gonna get you out of here?
Dude, it's so funny because for a long time I was considered in the household as like a spiritual moron, if you will. Where I just kind of like, I didn't have, or even myself, like I didn't get what I was feeling or anything like that. And we got into like paranormal stuff and watching paranormal stuff and whatnot. And my wife has always been sensitive. Like in our old apartment, she saw apparitions and she told me about them. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I just went along with my day. But like I got very into it as well. And it's funny because now when we go into places, like at one point we went to Michigan to go visit family, and they rented a house that was it was like a cool concept where it was like, hey, you can rent this house, there are sleeping rooms upstairs, and the whole downstairs is built to be like a let's cook everything kitchen and then entertain in the downstairs, and then the upstairs is just all rooms. Mm-hmm. And she walks upstairs, she comes down, and she goes, can you walk upstairs and tell me which room you feel weird about? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I go up, and there's 4 rooms. I walk into the first one, I'm fine. Second one, I'm fine. Third room, I'm like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. And then the 4th room, fine. I was like, it's the 3rd room. She's like, you are sensitive. You are sensitive to this shit.
What's up, guys? We got a little hint for you here. A little secret. How do you help the show? We've been asked. Here's a way to help the show. Check us out over at patreon.com/baconismypod. You can get lots of extra stuff.
Yeah, like additional shows, ad-free episodes, early episodes. Shoot. Every Sunday, we record our discussions and drinks live with our patrons.
Yeah, so you can have a drink with us while we do it. You can watch us cook things. You can watch us eat things. You can just support the show. And that helps us keep putting these out. It helps us just
keep the show free.
Keep the show free. So thank you guys so much for supporting all of you over on Patreon already. Our patrons, you guys are our lifeblood. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to help out the show and you want to jump on, and you want to be part of that BIMP squad, jump over to patreon.com/baconismypod.
And actually, have you been to Rock Hill yet?
No, not yet. That's on my bucket list. Like I haven't done anything since we've moved here, for one, because we've been getting settled in our house, and two, with my hip, I couldn't do a lot.
Yeah.
But I have a little booklet that I wrote down all the urban legends in my area, and I'm gonna go to all the little urban legends.
This is not
Like
an
in
urban
Dallas,
legend.
well, in known haunted places, but like there's a college in Dallas that has a woman like supposedly got beaten and raped and hung from a tree, and if you go, you can hear her and see her. So I have like that written down, and every time I meet someone from North Carolina, I'll ask them like, hey, what's from your town, like what's the haunted place, and I do my research, and I got a little booklet, I'm writing all this down so that once I'm fully healed, I'm just going to travel over North Carolina and check out what I can. Yeah.
Where did you get your surgery done?
Caramount, right here in Greensboro.
Okay, it was in Greensboro. Okay, so there's a hospital in Charlotte.
Yep.
My sister, she used to live behind, actually. As it turned out, they actually found graves, like and remains of people, like under the surface when they went to go do that. So
and I'm sorry, I said Greensboro. I meant Gastonia. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, this was like literally her backyard in Charlotte, like when she was living there and stuff. And they dug up the ground to go build this hospital, and they found two or three headstones and some remains. They actually kept the headstones in the basement of this hospital.
Yeah.
Oh,
and apparently it fucked things up.
Oh yeah.
And they ended up sending them into, I don't know what the main, like there's a park, like there's like a park and cemetery in the middle of the city of Charlotte. I wish I remembered what the name of it was. I'll get it and I'll tell you what it was, because we went on a haunted tour of Charlotte, and they actually moved them to that mass grave in Charlotte, and because like I think it was something like 300 and some odd bodies that were or people that were recognized there, but there are over like 3,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the area. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Haunted Charlotte is a thing. They have like the
North
first
Carolina,
hospitals, and yeah.
North Carolina is because it goes back to the Civil War days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you can even go back to the Revolutionary War and stuff like that. And there's a lot of like and then of course with the Native Americans, like I've been doing a lot of research on North Carolina because I thought Wisconsin was haunted, but Wisconsin only goes back so far in history, where North Carolina literally goes back to the original 13 colonies. It goes back, and like think about how many people don't have headstones or don't have proper graves, or and I'm talking the whole state, and then you get into the mountains, the Appalachians and stuff like that. There's cryptids all over the place there, so that's why I was real excited, when we got here, because I just right away dove into the haunted Charlotte tours I've heard about. I just get leery on the tours because you don't know who's running them. But if I can find out who's running them and stuff and what their background is, I feel more comfortable, because there's a couple that they don't know and they don't do any paranormal stuff. They're just trying to make a buck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can tell you that if nothing else, at least, like, I've just recently, like, once I hit like 35, I started going, well, the history of things are really cool.
Yeah.
And then, so now I really enjoy the history and like the oh, well, this building was for this and this happened here.
Yeah.
And this is why. And so all that kind of stuff really hits me. So if you're into history, but then also at the same time, the haunted stuff, I'll send you the one that I went to in Charlotte. It was good. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't do any investigations or anything like that, but it told you the history and told you where to go.
My wife's office building she works in is haunted. At least she thinks.
Wow.
And I'll send you a video right now, in fact.
Oh, dude, I'd believe it.
She it used to be an old mill.
Oh.
And
yeah.
And when they tried to make it over into like shops and stuff like that, they couldn't bring it up to code. Something would always happen. So it's had vacant for years. Well, now they got a bunch of stuff in there, and she was at work, and like all this stuff starts happening. And of course, she's sensitive and stuff. And she's got this guy that works there, and he believes in this stuff. And he took this video, and I'll send it over to you guys. But he took this video, and she got home, and she's like, "You need to look at this. You need to debunk this. You need to let me know what this is." And so I watched it, and I went over it with a fine, because my thing when I investigate is I don't think right away everything's haunted. I think, what's the natural occurrence to this?
Right.
Yeah.
How is this happening? And so I break it down. So Tim and I get videos all the time, and 9 times out of 10 it's dust, bugs, or an air vent that you just don't know about. So she handed me this video, and I can't debunk it. So I sent it to Tim, and Tim goes, I have nothing. And she goes, please tell me there's something you can debunk. And I was like, I got nothing, babe. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I just sent it to you guys over on Twitter if you want to check it out. And I have no explanation. So I so want her boss to like let me come in and check it out. You know?
All right. So I am going to share screen this. Here we go.
So what this is the hallway. Like if you get it up and
Yeah.
I can explain it.
Share screen. There we go. Tab, Twitter. Here we go.
So so what we're looking at, this is the hallway. The men's bathroom is right where you had your cursor, is that fire hydrant.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
men's bathroom over there.
Mhm.
No, that's not the men's. She's yelling at me. That's not the men's bathroom. The men's bathroom's at the end of the hallway. That's where they get a lot of
Oh, the other.
yeah, down there.
Others,
And that's where they get a
okay.
lot of stuff in the men's bathroom. But if you look at the vent that's running down that big long tube, there's only one vent, and you can see it in picture. And then it goes
Okay.
down. So those are the only vents going on. Every light is its freestanding light. There's no draft or anything going on. All right.
All right. Anybody who's listening to this on any of the streaming platforms, go to strangerhoodtv.com.
Yeah, we're sharing.
We're
the video
sharing
right
the
now.
video, and you're going to be able to hear it and see it. We're going to just let you hear it if you're listening, but
So we will
You
just
can see
react to it right now.
all right. What?
So that's it. You only got 10 seconds. But
That's-
there's no vent. In order to get that much
Yeah,
force,
so
there'd have to be a vent right there.
Yeah, what's pushing that light over?
And why
So-
is only that light moving? All of them
Right.
are freestanding
other,
lights.
Every other light is stationary.
And it's loud enough you can hear it banging against the wall. It's not like it's,
Yeah.
you know.
Huh.
She
That
brought
is-
that home, and because she'll come home and she'll be like, "Oh, they saw a shadow person here." And she's like, "Oh, I was walking past and I heard this voice." I'm like, "You got to get your phone out." And then she got home. She's like, "Hey, so and so had video. He saw it. He went in, got his phone, came back out. It was still going. He recorded. It's only 10 seconds." I'm like, "I want to see it."
Yeah.
So if you can debunk it, go ahead. I have no explanation right now, so I leave it up in the air until I can go in there and try and recreate it.
Yo, let's go.
People
Let's
watching.
go.
People watching. Debunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
I
Yeah, that's
actually,
something Tim put it out to our listeners, and nobody can figure it out.
Huh. That's crazy.
that's so cool. That is awesome. Actually, so we were supposed to in Atlanta go see a house because a friend of my family had a house that was built later on. She found out literally on the border of Confederate and Union soldiers.
Oh wow!
And it was on that thing, and she had I think she had like 3 or 4 different people affiliated with TAPS actually go in to do things there, and they all captured a number of things. There was an aggressive female. Actually, I'll try and find it in my phone, but there's stuff in the mirror. There was an old man that was like creeping around and like being very creepy, and then there was also like she said child, but it was more like a 17-18-year-old that was sad and upset. Basically they found out that a young boy was drafted to fight and passed away in this house after
That
being
makes sense.
like,
Why he's 18? Yeah.
And
Sad
yeah.
teens, man. Where do you find those?
Well, yeah, they're
Especially when you get thrown in the Civil War, you would know nothing
You
about.
were strangely hearing Dashboard Confessional.
Well, it's crazy because around here, your parents are from North Carolina. You get everything was a mill around here.
yeah.
And and through my research, I found mills were used as hospitals during the Civil War.
Because it was just an open space.
Right.
Exactly. So not only did you factor in mills are a dangerous place to work in the 1800s, now it's also a hospital where soldiers are coming in, and it wasn't like surgery today. Like I walked out of the hospital, like you got shot in the leg, you could die or lose your leg.
Yeah.
There was two options usually then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cut it off.
And I always say with haunted places, it always comes from either a source of joy or a source of trauma.
Yes, for sure. How many places have you actually went and investigated?
I've done probably over 100.
Oh wow!
Me and my buddies back home, we just dab. I got into it. I've always been a fan of paranormal, but I got into investigating. I found out about investigating because of the show Ghost Hunters. I was like, wait, you can do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'd always go to places, we'd hear stuff, and I've seen UFO and stuff. I can explain that later, but getting into ghosts and stuff, I didn't know you could go do this. So we'd find all the places that were haunted in Wisconsin. We'd drive and we'd have our handheld camcorders with the night vision. We'd have digital recorders and our EMF detectors, which you can buy at any hardware store at the time. And we just go and we just screw around and figure out what we could find out. And I still have some evidence hanging around. The best was when I met my wife, we went to my father-in-law's house we'd always hang out at. And she always got a bad feeling where her grandfather used to sleep. So we did an EVP session in there. And at the time, they were selling the house. So my wife asked him the question. She goes, do you want them to sell the house? And we got a no from a female voice. And then are you upset that they're selling the house? And then we got a yes. And we didn't hear it there. We was waiting when we reviewed the evidence. And then right after it all happens, you hear a little girl voice go, Dada. And it was out of nowhere. And those were the only real big hits we got. But I looked at my wife and there's something. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's your grandparents. I don't know what it is, but there's something because they're responding, and they're intelligent because they're responding to the questions.
Right.
And it was clear as day. And then we did another one where it's called Paradise Road in Wisconsin. And you drive down to the end of the road and you go down this little hill and you park your car. And we got out, and now there's a farmhouse. It was about half a mile up. There's a farmhouse, and that's the only house on this road. And after we got out of the house, we heard 1920s music playing, and it sounded like it was coming out. Was that a xylophone? The big
the big.
Oh yeah.
So we could hear the record. You know how you hear the and all that, and it sounded and we could hear it. And no matter where we walked, it always was in the distance. We never got closer to it. No matter what direction we walked in, we never got closer to it. And we'd walk into the woods. We'd walk over here, and it would never get closer. And then out of nowhere, a random dog just showed up. And that could just be coincidence, you know what I mean? Right. But it was just if you factor in everything we were experiencing. And then right before we left to get back to our van to leave, my buddy felt a hand on his shoulder, and it pushed him into the van.
Oh shit! Oh.
So we took that as okay. It's time to go.
Right. I always found it wild. You hear a lot. If you watch paranormal shows and stuff like that, you hear a lot about hearing disembodied music, and like you said, through that whatever that thing, seismophone or I think it's seismophone. I think it was called
something
phonograph. Hearing it that way, right? But that's not a person.
Yeah.
So why would you be able to hear that? I mean, if you ask us, yeah, we're obviously spiritually connected to music, no matter what.
I think everybody is.
But do you think that particular machine, because that's what it is essentially, right? Do you think that is actually connected to the spirit world as opposed to, I mean, you don't hear people going, oh, I heard this fucking CD player or whatever. Like, do you think there was something different back then with that particular medium that made it where you can hear it? Because you never hear, like,
I think it's because it's such a distinctive sound. You know what I mean? Where, like, you can't listen to something and go, oh, that's a CD, because it's so clear. But like that was a specific sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like that's how I think we could hear it. Because that's I think that's why we could tell that's what it was. What scared me about it was, let's say you guys are in your garage playing your instruments, right? If I'm away from you, eventually whatever direction I walk in, I'm going to start walking towards you, and your music's going to get louder.
Right.
In this instance, it stayed the same volume no matter how far we walked. So it was like, how is that happening?
Well, but that's also like, are you hearing it because it's audible in the world, or are you hearing it in your head? Right? Like, is it just you that's hearing it?
Well, we all heard it. That's the thing, is we all heard it.
But are you all hearing it in your head?
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Or is it audible?
To
like
everybody.
If it's audible to everybody and it's just outside, then that's a different question as to why I can't hear it more when I'm going in a direction. Yeah. Versus if you're hearing things but they're just audible in each person's head, they're hearing it like in their inside voice, and it's more of like a spoken to you internally.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, it obeys no laws whatsoever.
Right.
So
I wanted to go to that house. I wanted to go to that house and ask them, hey, do you hear this? Do you hear it off? Right. Ask them the questions, but everybody else was like, we're not going to that house.
And even if they hear it, are they hearing it audibly? Or are they hearing it in the inside head?
Yeah. And is
I'm always
my question
curious about that.
A, do you hear it? B, if you do hear it, how often do you hear it?
Right.
C, is it constant? And D, what's in these direction? Because I am not from around here. So could it be someone sitting in their backyard listening to their grandma's?
Sure. Now, if you can get it on a recording, then that means it's audible in the air.
Yeah.
If you can't get it on a recording, then that means you're just hearing it in your head. And if everybody's hearing it in their head, then it's partially like and this isn't a discrediting thing, but it's partially a mass hallucination, which is also super interesting.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, this is affecting everybody, but it's affecting everybody in the same way internally.
Well, see, now when I investigate too, like I'll say the three of us go and investigate, I always tell you guys, unless you hear some out loud, don't tell me what you hear. Like just say, oh, I heard something, and point. And then if I heard it too, I'll say this, and then let's see if we heard the same thing. Right. Because if you go, oh, did you hear that bell over there? Well, now you put it in my head, there's a bell over there. Yeah. But if you go, hey, what was that? And I go, I didn't hear anything. And then you go, well, I heard a bell. Okay, now that's your experience. You heard that. I didn't hear it. But if you go, hey, what was that? And I go, and you point, and I go, oh, did you hear a bell from over there? And you're like, that is what I heard. Now we both, without putting it into our heads, we both had the same experience. And now we go to the third person. Hey, did you hear anything? No, I haven't heard anything. Okay, well, we had this experience over here. Or, yeah, I heard a bell in that direction.
Right.
Okay, now all three of us had that. You know what I mean? So therefore, it's not mass. We're not putting it in our heads.
Exactly, yeah. Now, do you remember the first experience? Well, okay. So I'll give you two options, and you can say whichever one. Like, there's the first experience that gets you to start to think like, hey, maybe this shit's real, or I'm believing in something. And then there's the best experience that makes you go, all right, there's this. I have no question in my mind. Sometimes it's the same thing, and sometimes it's, do you remember yours?
My first experience, I can tell you my first experience with ghosts and my first experience with UFOs. So my first experience with ghosts was I was at my house growing up, and I had to be 10 or 11 because I'd just gotten home from my Little League game, and my brother had a game that night, and so my sister. So my dad was at my sister's game, my mom was at my brother's game, and I'd gotten a ride from my buddy's family, and they dropped me off at home. So I'm at home, I'm getting all changed, and I hear a girl's voice from the basement singing "Row, row, row your boat." And my sister's name's Maria. I'm like, oh, Maria
Not a
must
creepy
be home.
song at all.
Not at all. And I'm like, oh, Maria must be home. You know what I mean? So I thought nothing of it. I went about changing, and I took my stuff down into the basement to throw into the washer and dryer, the wash. So as I'm walking downstairs, I hear "Row, row, row your boat." So I'm like, hey, Maria, is that you? I hear nothing. I get down, I throw my stuff in, I hear "Row, row, row," and it's a little girl. I'm like, what? So I'm thinking, now I'm getting mad because I think it's my sister playing a trick on me. So I'm walking all over the basement, and there's nothing. I get upstairs, I don't hear anything. So I turn the TV on, and I start hearing again. So I turn the TV off, and I'm like, Maria, come out. Like, I get it. Haha, you scared me. Way to go. You know, you got me. Next thing I know, my dad and my sister walk in through the front door. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turns out that my brother and sister, which I didn't find this out until I started doing the podcast, they had heard the same thing at different times.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but I didn't know that till years later, you know, when I was doing the podcast and stuff like that. But that's my first experience. And that's when I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is this? And that's when I started, like, getting into spirits and ghosts and, you know what I mean, and finding that all out.
Right.
When it comes to UFOs, my buddy and I, he used to live on the other side of town. So we'd have to ride our bikes and we'd cut through, like, the local park to get to his house. And we were doing a sleepover because that's what you did when you were little. You know, you did sleepovers. Pack my stuff in my backpack. We get on our bikes. We're riding through. It's about 9, 10 o'clock at night, summertime. You know, it's beautiful night out. We're riding. And we come into the park. Now, they had a gazebo in this park, and that's where all the high schoolers would sit to get high and stuff like that. And as we're going, we see this really bright light. And we're like, oh, I wonder what the high school students are doing. Like, we've never seen that before. And as we're riding up, we're like, well, the gazebo's over to our right. This is on our left. We're like, what is going on? Like, okay, they're doing something. And as we rode up to it, we stopped at about maybe 50 yards away. And it was a bright, like bright as the sun light. And it was hanging over this tree, and it was a ball. It was just a ball of light. And we're both sitting there looking like, what? And you could feel the heat coming off this. And we turn around, we hightail it out there. We're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? We end up going the long way to his house, and we're sitting there like, what was that? We couldn't believe that. Like, oh my God. Next day, we're riding back to my house. We go to the same spot, and in the ground is a perfect circular burn pattern. And there's a little pine tree that was completely burnt. It had all the pine needles were gone. So, like, could somebody have lit it on fire? Yeah, but how do you get a perfect circle around that? And you only burn the circle in the grass, not all the grass. And how is only the pine needles off the tree, not the whole tree burned? Right. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that's when and then turns out his mom was really into the UFOs and stuff. So she'd like help us with that stuff. And she was into psychics and stuff. And then she wasn't into ghosts and spirits, but she got me in touch with people that could help educate me and stuff like that. And it's just been a trip ever since.
Wow. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. What is your favorite cryptid?
Bigfoot all the way. He's my homie.
Hell yeah, man.
I love Bigfoot, man.
How is that not everybody's favorite?
We had a singer on, right? And she like I gotta tell you, like, we honestly didn't have a whole lot to work with her. And and she was doing the 7 questions, and somehow the fact that she took a selfie in Scotland
with the Loch Ness Monster.
The Loch Ness Monster was in the photo, and she didn't notice until way after. And then she sent it in. There's some kind of like committee or something that validates these things, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's it."
Yeah, they couldn't debunk it,
and that was like an actual thing.
Well, you can get paid $30,000 now, euros or whatever they use over there, if you get good evidence of Nessie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a guy out there. He'll put you up in the hotel and stuff, and if you can get actual footage, he'll pay you $30,000.
Wow. Are you like? Have you ever gotten any kind of evidence? Because you said you camp and stuff like that. So like, have you gotten any like good evidence of Bigfoot or anything like that, or have you chased at all?
No, we've heard knocks and stuff like that, but that was before I really got into the cryptid side of things. You know, I always thought Bigfoot was cool, but doing my research and stuff, like anytime I was in Jersey, I'd go out looking for the Jersey Devil. I've been to West Virginia a couple times for Mothman. Tim and I always cover stuff on the podcast about cryptids and stuff. So like anything that's close to me, I'll make sure I go out there just to see what I can find. But
you ever seen anything that made you go like, okay, this is real, I'm on the right track?
I personally haven't seen anything yet as far as cryptids. I have seen, it turned out to be a dog with mange, but I thought it was a chupacabra. And we took pictures of it, and a vet friend of mine's like, no, that's just a dog with mange. But like, that's the closest I've come.
I was going to say my favorite is the chupacabra, because
Chupacabra's cool.
I used to work with predominantly Hispanic people.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they would call me Chupacabra. And I don't know if that was a good or a bad thing.
It's because you're short and you wear capris.
It has nothing to do with my
There it
capris.
is.
It totally does.
I didn't wear capris there.
Yeah, but you look like a guy that would wear capris.
Oh, okay.
I did have, you know what? I lied. Me and Malonis had an experience with the Rougarou in Louisiana.
Oh.
Ooh,
We
with
didn't know it at the time. We had some where we had seen some. We couldn't clear out what it was, and one of the locals go, "Oh yeah, you saw a Rougarou."
Nice.
And that was my first time hearing it, so I did a bunch of research on it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, we had that. That was cool."
No, I know. Brian is
He's
now
terrified of that stuff.
Yeah, he's not into that stuff. He's also on the straight and narrow when it comes to drinking as well. He's not doing the drinking and stuff like that. So
Yep, he's 2 years sober because he started developing a problem, and he realized he was having a problem, which is great. I support him in his sobriety.
Good for
dude, we have way more people that are non-drinkers than are drinkers.
Yeah,
at this point.
my guitar player's at God, I don't even know how many years.
I think it's
now.
like 17 or 18.
I think.
Yeah. I just look at it as I have a built-in DD. You know,
Yeah.
like he'll get me home safe.
Exactly. That's
And it's
awesome.
good too because
Me
people
too.
come
I'm
up.
like, you're driving, dude. Yeah.
What I love is he keeps it in a DL that he's sober, because when we go out, people buy me and him a beer, and then he just slides it over to me.
Oh, that's
So
excellent.
it's basically 2 for 1 for me.
Excellent.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
So,
Yeah.
so he's a good
See-
brother like that.
See, guys, this is why you need to get into a tag.
That's right.
This is why you need to get into a tag.
Well, we're in a tag, but we both drink.
Yeah. It's just a matter of who's going to tap out first.
That's what it became with Brian and I. And then he realized he had a problem where he was on his own and he was doing 2 bottles of wine a night on his own, outside of wrestling. And he's like, and he's like, this is a problem now. And he called me and we had a long heart to heart. He's like, we'll still do the gimmick. I just, and I told him, man, you're my brother. I'd rather have you alive and here with me than us party and drink till 6 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
man.
you need more than that. And so I support it. And he's like, well, I'm not going to be public with it. I'll be semi-public, but like, fans buy me a beer, I'll thank them, and then you just drink it. I'm like, perfect. Saves me money.
That's fantastic.
When you're out on the road, nothing better than a money saver.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm
And
into that.
he's terrified of anything paranormal, cryptid. He doesn't.
Oh yeah.
I'll make sure I get us in haunted rooms and stuff like that. And he will make sure I do not tell him we're in there. And he'll deny it left and right.
That's what friends do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we haven't done the haunted room yet.
No, because you don't bring me. You bring your wife.
Good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But even like we've been to so many.
we
hotel
bought the
rooms.
thing.
Yeah. This is it.
We bought the thing.
Our buddy,
Yeah.
Katie Stafford.
Our
Thank
buddy.
box.
Our buddy.
Our buddy. We did it.
We and our are words until it comes to going.
Then it's a
Well, we talked about going for a while.
We talked about it.
We were actually supposed to go. Like I said, we
Yeah.
were supposed to go in Georgia. It fell through.
I love
right,
Jen.
well,
I
my
love Jen.
advice
I
is-
love Jen too. I'm just saying that.
My advice to you guys when you do your first investigation, if you do one, don't get disappointed if nothing happens. That's 90% of the time nothing happens.
Yeah.
I go into everything thinking nothing's gonna happen. I am the.
We're not going this time. He's taking his wife.
Right. Yeah. That's why he's not taking me. That's why he's not taking me. That and the sex.
Oh, you don't put out as much as his wife does?
No, I just want weirder stuff.
He just weirds me out. And then I'm like, all right, I gotta turn over. I gotta turn over.
Why are you moving my belly button?
Hey, man. If it's there.
Guy.
Everything's an option.
That was the funny thing because I did the booking of, so we covered a festival in Connecticut, and I booked it through the my family's Expedia account, and I don't know, I guess Jen just looked at the thing. She's like, okay. And then I came home, and she's like, all right, so where'd you guys sleep? And I was like, king-size bed. She's like, oh, you slept in the same bed as Jimmy, huh? I was like, yep. Yeah.
One on top of the covers, one underneath. You're fine.
I don't move.
No,
man. I don't move, man. I'm good.
We don't move. He wears
it's
earplugs.
It's hard for me and Malonis to do that because, he's 400 pounds and I'm 300 pounds, so we don't fit in the bed very well.
We still fit.
I used to be on 205 Live, but I can't do that now.
No.
Yeah,
I'm on 305 Live.
Yeah, but I mean, we made it work.
Yeah.
It was fine. But I don't think I could do a full size bed with you.
I'll sleep in the tub. I don't care.
Well, no, a full size bed.
I was gonna say you're a musician. You probably slept in worse places.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's anything like wrestling. You
I
cram
lived
10 guys
in a van.
I was gonna say. You know how many ring trucks I've slept in?
Right? I'm the least. I am the least you have to worry about.
Yeah.
That's why I love taking my wrestling buddies with me on field trips or road trips because who cares where we sleep? We've all slept in worse places.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Well, those buddies are the best to all right, guys, we're gonna drive. We're gonna drive for 6 hours.
Yep.
Don't have to pee.
Dude,
yep.
6 hours is nothing.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Isn't it amazing when you start traveling more? How someone says, "Oh, it's a long trip." How long is it? 6 hours? Yeah, ain't nothing.
And you're like, what?
I had to.
That's not even half. That's a third of a day.
We went when Jay Briscoe passed away. We went to his funeral, and that's 8 hours from here. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're driving that?" We're like, "Yeah, that's nothing."
Yeah.
We drove up. We got up there a day early, hung out at the Briscoe farm, and went to the funeral the next day and drove home. It was easy.
Well, that was spread over days, man.
Well, we drove up on I think it was a Tuesday, and then the funeral was a Wednesday. So
right, yeah. So how many times have you driven 8 hours?
God.
Do a match and then drive another 8 hours back.
I've driven 8 hours to a show, done a match, got in a car, drove 14 hours to do another match, got in a car, drive 14 hours back to do a show, to get in the car, drive 8 hours back home, and then get up at 6 a.m. the next day to go to work.
Yep. I've done that for shows too. You drive 6 hours to a show, you play that show, you drive 6 hours to the next show, you sleep for a couple hours, you get up, you figure out what to do in that town, you go hand flyers out at the tattoo places in the mall.
Yeah.
And then you go do a show, and then you jump back in the car and you drive another. Yep. Now it's 12 hours because you just drove 6 and 6, and you drive 12 back, and then.
Yeah, and being a father, I used to drive through the night, get back for plays and baseball games and
oh yeah, I'm not a dad.
Choir concerts and all that crap because you got to be super dad.
Yeah,
man.
I'm not a dad, so I didn't do any of that. But
I've never had to do the tour thing.
I came back
Lots
to
of work hours,
disappoint people at a restaurant or a bar. I think my order's wrong. Yeah, it probably is.
I'm fucking tired.
I'm really tired.
Man.
You're probably right.
Here's a flyer for my next gig.
Right, exactly. What did you get? Her order? It's the same table, dude. Switch plates. Switch plates.
You guys spit in each other's mouths anyway. Come on,
right.
switch.
That's on you. That's on you, not me.
Oh man. Well, Bruiser, we took up a lot of your time.
Oh, anytime, guys.
And we really appreciate
We didn't even get into what you're listening to lately.
Oh, I know. We didn't even get to the music stuff.
We gotta do a third.
I can clearly tell you right now, it's been nothing but Tool for Your Economy. I love that fucking album.
Hell yeah.
Tempest is by far Adam Jones's greatest guitar work to date.
Nice.
Numa is Danny's fucking him and that drum set are just amazing, and that's been my go-to. And then I've found Falling in Reverse is pretty good.
Another good band. Yeah.
Yeah, I just found them, and then for some reason I've been on an Ed Sheeran. Is that his name? Like
Yeah.
For some, my daughter sent me
Yeah, he's got some good songs, man. He's got some good
Tool,
songs.
man. That album is almost near perfection, and I'm glad I don't have to wait 16 years for another one.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got this one. You're gonna have to wait for another at least.
Yeah.
No, they're in there. They got stuff. He said after he's done.
now.
Maynard said after he's done with Lucifer tour, they're gonna go back.
They're in the studio now.
How many times are you gonna fall for that, buddy?
Oh, I'm gonna fall for it every time because that's my band, man.
All right. Well, how about this?
The best is I told my wife, I says, babe, you got to follow Maynard on Instagram. She's like, he's fucking weird. I don't want to follow. I said, trust me, follow
you
me.
need to
She's like,
follow him.
She's like, I'm not a big. She's like, I'm not a big Tool fan. I go, I know you're not. Trust me. And if you go on his Instagram, it's nothing but him and animals and him making wine. That's all it is. And the occasional Tool lyric.
Right.
I would love to have some. I've heard, because I had friends who went to Napa Valley for actual like culinary school and stuff, who've had his wine called trash. They've called it trash. And they're big Tool fans, and I was like, "Whoa!"
They're also in culinary school.
My buddy Craig Kiesman, his name's Niles Plonk on the wrestling scene, owns his own winery.
Oh.
And he makes a fantastic wine, and he makes a fantastic mead. But he did a wine thing, and Maynard was there selling his stuff, and he's a Tool fan. And he said the same thing. He says, "Don't get it for the taste. Get it for just because it's Maynard's." He's like, "Buy one."
Kind of like Metallica's whiskey.
Yeah, or Iron Maiden's beer.
Or Iron Maiden's beer. Yeah.
There was one of them that was actually pretty good.
Was there?
I want to say it was the Trooper one.
It was
I'm not a fan of the Trooper one.
Or it was good in comparison to the other one.
It might have been good in comparison.
cream of the crap.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very, very possible. Very possible.
And I have to admit, I have 2 cans sitting on my display just because I'm, it's Iron Maiden. I'm an Iron Maiden fan. I have
right.
Fucking
I have a Crystal Skull vodka that I don't drink. That's up because I'm a big Danny Aykroyd fan. And,
exactly. And that's a cool bottle, man.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about that vodka is that cool ass bottle.
I'm waiting for Crown Royal to come out with the Blacktooth Grin because Pantera just reunited.
Right.
Like, they're missing a marketing opportunity right there.
Well, if they come in a velvet bag,
they're probably.
That's true. They're not listening to Pantera at all, are they?
Pinkies up.
That's true. Pantera's not a pinkies up.
Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
You're like, Dimebag who?
Right. You know what? I bet Phil is pinkies up.
Oh, yeah, I bet he is.
I bet he's pinkies up.
Oh, man. But, yeah, Bruiser, let everybody know where they can find you and all things Beer City Bruiser in that time off that you've got.
Yeah, man.
And the return, the triumphant comeback that you are going to have.
Hopefully. It's at BCB Winchester on Twitter, The Beer City Bruiser on Facebook, Beer City Bruiser on Instagram, darknessradioshow.com if you want to check out the Darkness Radio stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I also have my schedule on there. Tim updates that, and all my contact information on all of them. And then Cameo, Beer City Bruiser. Come on and have me say something to people.
Name your kids.
And go get some.
Name your kids.
Shirts.
ProWrestlingTees.com/Beer City Bruiser.
I got mine.
That's a fan-drawn artwork that I loved, and I asked her if I could use it. She said sure to send me one, so I did.
Hell yeah.
And then Brothers Gaddor, that's Brothers Gaddor, and you can get, let me grab it. You can get a good old wrestling buddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yours truly, so.
I feel like we need to get one of those.
We do need to get one of those.
The beer, and then when you turn them around.
We have this.
Bruiser. We have one of these. And you know what?
Oh, nice. Yeah, so if you want to wrestle me, it's got the beer in the pocket, and then if you flip it over, got a good old
keg in the back.
All ready to go. And it's all my tattoos and everything. So.
Yo, if you want Bruiser to do the job, you got to buy the buddy.
Yes.
Trust me, my brother bought one just to. I said I could have gotten you one. He's like, no, I had to buy it. I'm like, why? He's like, I beat the shit out of you every night. Like, I owe you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yep, doing the job every night.
I am.
That happens, man.
Hey, I'll do the JOB. I don't care.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I still want one of those old Job Squad shirts.
I do too.
You know?
I do too.
We gotta get those.
All right.
Maybe
Pro
I'll make
Wrestling Tees.
maybe I'll make
Pro
a,
Wrestling Tees
maybe I'll
probably
make
have
a
them.
maybe I'll make a Bacon is My Podcast version.
BIMP.
Right.
Yeah.
If you
Ooh.
do,
Rip
send
Squad.
it to me.
Okay.
If you do, send it to me, please.
Yeah.
We
Hell
got
yeah,
you.
man.
We
Hell
got
yeah.
you.
And then instead of, you know how they had 1, 2, 3, pin me, pay me, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something with your questions or something like that.
Yeah.
You go,
Oh, dude. Yeah. I like that.
"Hey,
See
look,
the
I'm
creative
helping."
process. That's creativity.
That's what I like. That's what I
Bruiser's
like.
bacon.
I love the creativity.
Yes. I love it. Guys, until next time, always remember to ask yourselves one super important question. What is that question?
What's that question? What's that question, Bruiser?
What's my bacon?
Hell yeah!
What's your bacon?
The bacon.
Sweet.
You've got a friend. You've got a friend.
I love having friends on the show,
Me too.
aka Beer City Bruiser. The guy will literally, all I have to do is talk, like message him, and he'll go, anything you want, I'm in.
It's because
You're
he's
good.
awesome. It's because he's awesome. You just listened to an episode of us hanging out and drinking with a buddy.
Yeah.
And that's what happens sometimes. And those are my favorite kind of episodes. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give us that 5-star review, or at least a thumbs up, or at least a share, or something.
You know what it costs you? Nothing.
$0.
Maybe 1 or 2 clicks.
And then, you are a friend.
That's a heart.
Yeah.
That's
also a heart.
This is a heart with my hands.
We're making hearts
can't
with our
see-
hands.
if you can't see
it,
that,
because
go to
you're on streaming.
Go to
sites.
strangerhoodtv.com.
Yeah, that's our YouTube
See
page.
that.
Right. Thank you to our Patreon people, our BIMP squad.
Fam.
Yeah, thank you guys over there. If you are interested in joining the Patreon, or at least seeing what it's all about, get some early episodes, see this early, get some live stuff, all that kind of good stuff. Jump over there, check it out. Patreon.com/baconismypod. See what it's all about. We appreciate you. We appreciate you checking it out. Thank you so much. BaconsMyPodcast.com for all your Bacon is My Podcast needs.
Including our sponsors, our delicious sponsors, including, we talked about this in What's Your Bacon 7 Questions, but the crop mops
Yep.
from Manscaped.
Don't
We've
put 'em
got
in your
some,
mouth.
Yeah,
They're for
don't
your balls.
And don't flush them either.
Right.
There's a message.
Don't flush
on
them
here.
and don't put them in your mouth. For your balls and then the trash.
GrillYourEyeSoft.com has some excellent eats over there.
That's for your mouth.
That's for your mouth.
Yeah.
Also,
Drink Wild Bills, also for your mouth.
yeah,
Also for your mouth.
awesome sodas. Love it.
We're fans of what they do. That's why we promote them. Honestly, they don't give us that much, so it's all good. So you want to help us out? Definitely buy something from them. Use one of the promo codes. Check it out. We do appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Find me at Jimmy G's Shoes on all the socials. Find him at Me My Own Self Mike on all the socials. Find my band at cravenstrange.net. Everything that we're doing musically, everything that we're putting out, check it out. We got shows coming up. Come see us, all that kind of fun stuff. If you come see us and say, hey, I've never seen you, but I came here because I heard about it on Bacon is My Podcast, I will give you something free. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe I'll buy you a drink. Maybe I'll give you CDs. Maybe I'll give you a T-shirt. Maybe I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But definitely come up to me and say, hey, I heard about this on Bacon is My Podcast. If you want to check out Mike's music, where can they find you, buddy?
At Something Heavy Music on all the socials, except for Twitter, which is Something Heavy 1. I don't know why. There's no explanation.
Because you don't really do it there.
Yeah, we don't do stuff there. But Something Heavy on all the streaming platforms. We've got a new single coming soon. We always do.
Mm-hmm.
This one's taking a little bit longer because, you know,
Sometimes it be that way.
sometimes it bees like that. So, sometime in August, keep a lookout for Hurt. It's coming.
Nice.
It is coming.
There you go. Looking beautiful.
No, that's pink.
Sometimes it bees like that.
We just talked about her.
Right. I was just going off the sometimes it bees like that.
Yeah, that's an old conversation.
We're past it.
It's fine.
Past it. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Jump over to patreon.com if you really want to help us out. Join the patrons over there, our BIMP squad. See some stuff live. Hang out with us. Talk to them. They're a really cool group. So jump in and chat with them and all that kind of fun stuff. Get everything a little bit early. If you can't do that and you don't want to do that, no problem. Whatever. Give us that 5-star review. Give us that like and that follow. Whatever it is, on whatever site you hear us on, thank you for doing it. We appreciate you. You guys rule. You got a friend. And remember to ask yourself every single day,
what's your bacon?
well, peace.